The awakening. The space around what was once called Earth remained peaceful, a serene graveyard of human history, preserved as a memorial by the Galactic Consortium. For 3 centuries, the silence of humanity's absence had become a constant in the galaxy. Their sudden disappearance, all 12 billion of them vanishing without explanation, had long since transformed from an active mystery into a historical footnote, taught to younglings of various species as a cautionary tale about the universe's unpredictability. Commander Talia Vex of the Consortium Security Fleet hovered her patrol ship above the ancient blue marble, conducting the standard century mark survey. Her silvery scales reflected the dim light of her command console as she dictated observations into the official record. Earth Preservation Zone Annual Inspection, Year 304 Post-Human. Planetary recovery continues at expected rates. Atmospheric composition now approaching pre-industrial levels. Urban decay proceeding as projected. Wildlife reclamation at 72% of estimated potential. No signs off. Commander. Her sensor officer, a young Proxian with vibrant purple fur, interrupted with uncharacteristic urgency. Energy signature detected. I've never seen readings like this. Talia's attention snapped to the sensor display. A swirling pattern of energy was forming in orbit around Earth, precisely above what her database identified as the ruins of a city once called Geneva. Analysis, she ordered, her tail twitching with tension. Unknown energy type, Commander. It's creating some kind of fold in spacetime. Gravimetric distortions increasing. Whatever it is, it's getting bigger. Talia keyed the emergency broadcast. Consortium Command, this is CSS Vigilant. We have an unknown spatial anomaly forming at Earth. Requesting immediate. The anomaly erupted into a brilliant azure tear in the fabric of reality. Talia shielded her eyes as the view screen automatically darkened to protect the crew from the intensity. When she looked again, a vessel had emerged, sleek, gleaming with an opalescent sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved. It bore no resemblance to any ship design in the Consortium database. More tiers opened across the Sol system. More ships emerged. Multiple vessels detected at Mars, Venus, Jupiter's moons. They're appearing throughout the system, reported the sensor officer, voice trembling. Hail them, Talia ordered, fighting to maintain her composure. For several tense moments, silence reigned on the bridge. Then, the communications array chimed. They're responding, Commander. The view screen shifted to show a human face. Unmistakably human, yet somehow different. The woman had dark skin and eyes that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Her hair, twisted into elaborate braids, contained strands that pulsed with subtle luminescence. This is Director Amara Okafor of the Earth Reclamation Fleet, the woman announced, her voice carrying a harmonic quality that made Talia's scales prickle. After 3 centuries in dimensional exile, humanity has returned to reclaim our home. Talia struggled to find words. Humans, impossible. Yet here they were. This is Commander Talia Vex of the Galactic Consortium Security Fleet. Earth is designated as a protected historical preserve under Consortium law. Director Okafor smiled, a gesture that somehow conveyed both warmth and immovable resolve. We're aware of the Consortium's stewardship, Commander. We appreciate the preservation of our homeworld. However, Earth belongs to humanity, and we have come to reclaim what is ours. We request a diplomatic meeting with your leadership. Within hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships were appearing at every former human colony and outpost, hundreds of worlds and stations that had been redistributed among Consortium species over the centuries. The humans weren't attacking. They were simply returning. The emergency Consortium Council session convened on Nexus Prime, the artificial ringworld that served as the seat of galactic governance. Representatives from 27 species gathered in the Grand Chamber, an atmosphere of tension and disbelief palpable in the air. High Chancellor Corax, an ancient Vulnarian whose exoskeleton had darkened with age, called the session to order. 3 centuries ago, Humanity vanished without explanation. Korax began, his voice rasping through translator notes. Today, they have returned with technology beyond our understanding, laying claim to territories that have been legally redistributed under consortium law. Ambassador Dex of the Protean Collective will brief us on the initial contact. Ambassador Dex, a being of living crystal, rose from her hovering platform. Light refracted through her translucent form as she projected a hologram of Director Okafor. The humans claim they were trapped in what they call a pocket dimension, a parallel reality where time flowed differently. What has been 3 centuries for us was only 30 years for them. During this time, they adapted to their new environment, evolving both biologically and technologically. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Chancellor Korax raised a gnarled limb for silence. Their capabilities. Unknown, but preliminary observations suggest they can manipulate space-time in ways our science cannot explain. Their ships appear to phase between dimensions at will. Our sensors struggle to track them. They've made no hostile moves, but they've been clear. They want their worlds back. Ambassador Julak of the Tyrillian Empire rose abruptly, his crimson membranes flaring with indignation. This is outrageous. The Tyrillian Empire has invested centuries developing the former human colony worlds in the Orion Arm. Millions of our citizens now call these planets home. We will not surrender them to these returnees. Similar declarations erupted across the chamber as representatives of species who had benefited most from humanity's absence voiced their opposition. Silence. Korax thundered, slamming his ceremonial staff against the chamber floor. We will address this situation with diplomacy, not posturing. Invite the human representatives to present their case. When Director Okafor entered the Grand Chamber, accompanied by 3 other humans, a hush fell over the assembly. They moved with fluid grace that seemed almost supernatural, their eyes containing depths that made even the most composed council members uncomfortable. Okafor approached the central dais, inclining her head respectfully to Chancellor Korax. Honorable representatives of the Galactic Consortium, thank you for granting us this audience. I am Director Amara Okafor, and these are my colleagues. Security Chief Marcus Way, Science Director Kiana Rodriguez, and Dimensional Navigator James Chen. Navigator Chen stood slightly apart from the others. His skin had a bluish tint, and faint lines of light seemed to pulse beneath his surface, as if his very veins carried luminescence instead of blood. 3 centuries ago, Okafor continued, humanity encountered what we now understand was a dimensional rift, a tear between realities. The rift expanded rapidly, enveloping all human-occupied space within hours. Every human, regardless of location, was pulled into another dimension, a place where the laws of physics differed from our own. Science Director Rodriguez stepped forward, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber with swirling patterns of energy and mathematical equations incomprehensible to most present. In this dimension, time passed differently. We experienced approximately 30 years, while 3 centuries passed here. We adapted to survive in an environment hostile to our original biology. We learned to harness energies unknown in this dimension. And eventually, we found our way back. To claim worlds that are no longer yours, Ambassador Julak interjected. Security Chief Wei turned his gaze toward the Tyrillian, who involuntarily stepped back. There was something in Wei's eyes, not threat, but a certainty that transcended mere confidence. We understand the complicated nature of our return, Wei said, his voice resonating strangely in the chamber. We do not wish conflict. We propose a transition period of 50 standard years, during which non-human populations on former human worlds will be offered a choice: integration with human society with full citizenship rights, or relocation with generous compensation and assistance. The chamber erupted again, voices shouting over each other in a cacophony of outrage, fear, and confusion. Navigator Chen, who had remained silent until now, raised his hand. The gesture should have meant nothing, Yet somehow the chamber fell instantly silent, as if his movement had commanded attention at a fundamental level. "We are not the humans you remember," Chen said simply. "What we experienced changed us. We see reality differently now. We understand the pattern of existence in ways impossible to explain with your current science. We do not desire conflict, but we will reclaim our worlds. The only question is whether this transition will be peaceful or otherwise." Something in his tone, not a threat, but an absolute certainty, sent a chill through the chamber. Chancellor Korak studied the humans with ancient wise eyes before asking the question everyone feared to voice. "And if the consortium refuses?" Director Okafor's expression showed genuine regret. "That would be unfortunate. We hope to rejoin Galactic society, to share our knowledge and discoveries. But make no mistake, Chancellor, we will reclaim what is ours. How that happens is entirely up to you." As the council session adjourned to deliberate, Talia Vex found herself assigned as liaison to the human delegation. She escorted them to the diplomatic quarters, curiosity finally overcoming her professional reserve. "May I ask, what happened to you in that other dimension? How did you change?" Navigator Chen turned to her, his eyes swirling with colors that seemed to exist beyond the visible spectrum. "Imagine discovering that reality has layers, Commander Vex. That what you perceive is merely the surface of something infinitely deeper and more complex. We learn to see those layers, to move between them, to exist in multiple states simultaneously." He held out his hand, and above his palm appeared a miniature galaxy, spinning in perfect detail. Not a hologram, but something that seemed to exist between dimensions. "We became more than we were," he said softly. "And now we've come home." As the humans settled into their quarters, reports arrived of a Tyrillian battle fleet mobilizing near the former human colony of New Eden. The first test of humanity's resolve and power was about to begin. The reckoning. Admiral Xerxes of the Tyrillian Imperial Fleet stood on the command deck of the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, surveying the display showing his assembled armada. 200 warships, the pride of the Tyrillian Empire, positioned in defensive formation around New Eden. Once a modest human colony, the planet had become a jewel of the Empire, home to 16 billion Tyrillians and the primary source of the rare minerals that powered their civilization. "Let them come," Xerxes growled, his crimson membranes flaring with battle readiness. "No one surrenders Tyrillian territory, not to humans, not to anyone." His second-in-command approached with a trembling motion of his appendages. "Admiral, new contact detected. Single vessel approaching from the edge of the system." Xerxes barked a laugh. "One ship, against the mightiest fleet in the Orion Arm. The humans are either fools or suicidal." The tactical display showed the human vessel, smaller than even a Tyrillian cruiser, its opalescent hull shimming as it moved with impossible grace toward the Tyrillian blockade. "They're hailing us, Admiral." "On screen," Xerxes ordered, straightening to his full, imposing height. The view screen activated to show Navigator James Chen, his eyes pulsing with that unnerving inner light. "Admiral Xerxes, I presume," Chen said pleasantly. "I am Navigator Chen of Earth. I understand there may be some confusion regarding the status of New Eden." Xerxes's membranes darkened with rage. "There is no confusion, human. New Eden is the sovereign territory of the Tyrillian Empire. You have 10 minutes to withdraw before we open fire." Chen smiled, a gesture that somehow managed to convey both compassion and absolute certainty. "Admiral, I've been authorized to offer generous terms for the transition. The 16 billion Tyrillians on New Eden are welcome to stay as citizens with equal rights under human governance, or we will assist with relocation." "You dare," Xerxes roared. "The Tyrillian Empire bows to no one. You have 5 minutes now." Chen nodded sadly. "I understand, Admiral. May I ask one question before we proceed? Your people evolved in liquid methane oceans on a world orbiting a red dwarf star. Why do you insist on living on a world terraformed for human biology, forcing your people to wear environmental suits whenever they leave climate-controlled buildings? The question caught Xerxes off guard. It was true. Tyrillians had adapted New Eden for their needs as best they could, but the planet's fundamentals remained stubbornly suited to human life. Our time is up, Xerxes snapped, closing the channel. All ships target the human vessel. Fire at will. 200 warships unleashed their fury. Plasma beams, quantum torpedoes, gravimetric distorters, a barrage that could shatter a small moon. The energy converged on the lone human ship and passed through it as if it weren't there. Direct hits confirmed, but no damage, Admiral. The weapons officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. It's as if our weapons are passing through empty space. The human ship continued its approach, unhurried and untouched. Impossible. Xerxes slammed his appendage against the command console. All ships, maximum firepower. Don't stop until that vessel is dust. The barrage intensified. The space around the human ship became a maelstrom of destructive energy. Yet it continued forward, untouched. Then it vanished. Contact lost. The sensor officer reported frantically. "It's here," came Navigator Chen's voice from behind them. Xerxes whirled to find Chen standing on the command deck of the inevitable conquest, not as a hologram, but physically present, having somehow transported through the dreadnought's shields and hull. How? Xerxes began, reaching for his sidearm. With a gentle gesture from Chen, every Tyrillian on the bridge froze in place, unable to move. "Please don't be alarmed," Chen said calmly, walking around the command deck as if on a casual tour. "You are unharmed. I've simply created a localized temporal field. From your perspective, you're frozen. From mine, you're merely existing at a different temporal rate." Chen approached the main view screen, waving his hand. The display changed to show the Tyrillian homeworld, a methane-covered planet orbiting a distant red dwarf. "Your people evolved in a beautiful, unique environment, Admiral Xerxes. New Eden will never truly be home to Tyrillians. You've spent centuries trying to adapt to a world fundamentally wrong for your biology." Another gesture, and the display changed again, showing a different world, one orbiting a red dwarf star, its surface covered in methane oceans that gleamed beneath the crimson light. "This is Proxima Centauri V, once a minor human mining outpost, now uninhabited. With minimal terraforming, it would be a perfect Tyrillian colony world, a true home where your people could live without environmental suits, where your children could swim freely in methane oceans under a red sun, as your ancestors did." Chen turned to face the immobilized Admiral. "We're offering a trade, Admiral. New Eden for Proxima Centauri, plus technological assistance with relocation and terraforming. A world where your people can thrive as they were meant to, not merely survive in an adapted human environment." With another gesture, the temporal field dissipated. The Tyrillians found themselves able to move again, staring in confusion and fear at the human in their midst. "This isn't a negotiation at gunpoint," Chen said softly. "It's an opportunity. You fired on us, and we could have destroyed your fleet in response. Instead, I'm offering your people a better home than the one you're fighting to keep." Xerxes, shaken but unwilling to show weakness, snarled, "And if we refuse?" Chen's expression showed genuine sadness. "Then we will reclaim New Eden regardless, and your people will need to find another world without our assistance. The choice between conflict and cooperation is yours, Admiral, but the outcome is inevitable either way." Back on Nexus Prime, the Consortium Council remained deadlocked. Half the representatives favored negotiation with the returned humans, while the other half, led by the most powerful species who had benefited from humanity's absence, called for military resistance. Chancellor Korak struggled to maintain order as the debate grew increasingly heated. Then an aide rushed in, whispering urgently in the Chancellor's ear. "The Council will recess," Korax announced abruptly. We have just received word that the Proxian Deep Space Monitoring Station has detected multiple unknown vessels entering the galaxy from intergalactic space. These vessels match no known configuration and are not of human origin. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. When the council reconvened an hour later, Director Okafor and her team were invited to join the emergency session. The central holographic display showed massive crystalline structures, ships the size of small moons, approaching from the direction of the Andromeda Galaxy. They call themselves the Harvesters, Navigator Chen explained, studying the hologram with recognition. We encountered them in the other dimension. They travel between galaxies, extracting resources and energy, leaving dead worlds in their wake. We managed to escape their notice there, but it seems they found a way to follow the dimensional signatures of our return. Are you saying you led these invaders to our galaxy? Ambassador Zhulak demanded, membranes flaring with accusation. Unintentionally, Science Director Rodriguez admitted. The dimensional rifts we created to return home left traces they could follow. But we've fought them before, and we can help you fight them now. Chancellor Korax's ancient eyes fixed on Director Okafor. Why should we trust you? Perhaps this is merely a ploy to force our cooperation. Okafor met his gaze steadily. Chancellor, we could have reclaimed our worlds by force. Instead, we chose diplomacy. Now a genuine threat approaches, one that endangers all life in this galaxy, human and non-human alike. We offer our knowledge and technology to help defend against this threat. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. What exactly are you proposing? Korax asked finally. An alliance, Security Chief Wei answered. We will share some of our dimensional technology, enough to create effective defenses against the Harvesters. In return, we ask for recognition of humanity's right to reclaim our former territories, with the transition terms we've already proposed. The Harvester ships were 3 weeks from reaching populated systems. In that time, an unprecedented cooperation unfolded across the galaxy. Human scientists worked alongside the brightest minds of 27 species, sharing knowledge that challenged the very foundations of consortium physics. On the boundary of consortium space, a fleet assembled. Vessels from every major species, retrofitted with human dimensional technology, alongside the shimmering opalescent ships of Earth's reclamation fleet. Admiral Xerxes, in a stunning reversal, had become one of the strongest advocates for cooperation with humanity after witnessing the potential of Proxima Centauri as a true Tyrillian homeworld. His dreadnought, now equipped with phase shields that could slide energy attacks into another dimension, led the Tyrillian contingent. When the Harvesters arrived, they encountered not the disorganized resistance they expected, but a unified force armed with technology they recognized and feared. The battle was brief but spectacular. Harvester energy beams slid harmlessly into pocket dimensions. Consortium ships, guided by human navigators, phased between dimensional layers, appearing inside Harvester shields to deliver devastating blows. Within hours, the would-be invaders retreated back toward intergalactic space, leaving behind a single shattered vessel for study. In the aftermath, Chancellor Korax presided over the signing of the Sol Accords, a historic agreement recognizing humanity's right to reclaim their original territories, with generous transition provisions for the species currently occupying those worlds. In exchange, humanity agreed to share certain aspects of their dimensional technology and to take the lead in establishing a new intergalactic defense initiative. Director Okafor and Navigator Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, gazing down at the blue-green planet below. 3 centuries of absence had allowed nature to reclaim much of what humans had built, turning the world into something both familiar and new, a clean slate. Was it worth it? Okafor asked softly. 30 years in another dimension, changing into something neither fully human nor fully other. Chen's eyes swirled with colors as he contemplated the world of their ancestors. We lost our past, but gained a future no one could have imagined. We've returned not as conquerors, but as guides. The dimension that took us from our home gave us the knowledge to protect all homes, everywhere. Below them, the first shuttles were departing for the surface, carrying humans who would set foot on Earth's soil for the first time in 3 centuries. They would rebuild, but differently this time, with the wisdom of their journey and the perspective of their transformation. "We've come full circle," Okafor said, watching the shuttles descend. "When the stars called us away, they changed us. Now they've called us back, and we will change them." Chen smiled, his gaze turning toward the distant stars where countless worlds awaited humanity's return. "I believe that was the point all along."